Confidence. It's the invisible power that changes how the world sees you and how you see yourself. Some people walk into a room and everyone turns to look. They don't say a word, but their presence commands attention. They don't chase approval, yet everyone wants theirs. That is dangerous confidence. It's not arrogance. It's not fake bravado. It's the quiet, unshakable belief that no matter what happens, you will figure it out. It's the kind of confidence that can't be bought, borrowed, or faked. It's forged, earned, built from fire, failure, and the courage to stand alone when no one believes in you. This audiobook isn't about pretending to be fearless. It's about becoming so rooted in who you are that fear loses its grip. By the time we're done, you'll understand how to walk through life with unbreakable certainty. Not because you never doubt, but because you no longer let doubt define you. Let's begin your transformation. Welcome to How to Become Dangerously Confident. Chapter 1. The Birth of Confidence. They say confidence changes everything, but before it changes the world around you, it must first change the world within you. Picture this. You're standing at the edge of something new. Your heart is pounding. Your palms are damp. The voice in your head whispers, "What if I fail?" That moment, that razor-thin line between stepping forward or turning back, that's where confidence is born. Not when you feel ready, not when the fear disappears, but in the exact second you decide to act anyway. Because confidence isn't a gift life hands you. It's a fire you learn to build inside your own chest. We live in a world that celebrates the loud, the certain, the people who seem untouchable. But here's the truth. Every confident person you've ever admired once stood exactly where you are right now. Uncertain, afraid, questioning whether they belonged. What made them different was not talent, not luck, not even timing. It was a single decision. They refused to let fear make the final call. Confidence begins with that choice. The choice to believe that maybe, just maybe, you're capable of more than your doubt allows you to imagine. It's not walking into a room and thinking you're better than everyone else. It's walking in and realizing you don't have to compare yourself to anyone. Confidence is self-trust, the quiet knowing that whatever happens, you'll handle it. It's not arrogance. It's not noise. It's the calm inside the storm, the steady heartbeat that says, "I can." And yet most people never reach that place. Why? Because they keep waiting for permission. Permission to start. Permission to speak. Permission to take up space. But no one will ever hand you permission. The world only begins to respect you when you decide to respect yourself first. Confidence is not something you earn later. It's something you claim now. Think of the times you stood on the sidelines, watching others do the things you secretly wanted to do. Maybe you thought, "I wish I had their confidence," but here's the twist. They didn't have it either. Not at first. They built it brick by brick, through trial and discomfort. Confidence grows every time you prove yourself to yourself. Every time you show up when it would be easier to stay hidden. Every time you fall, get back up, and try again. Your belief in yourself gets louder. That's how confidence becomes dangerous. Because once you've faced failure and realized it didn't destroy you, you stop being afraid of it. And when fear loses power, you become unstoppable. There's a quiet revolution that happens inside a person who finally trusts their own strength. It doesn't start with grand gestures or public victories. It starts with whispers, moments no one else sees. You keep a promise to yourself. You finish something you once quit. You choose courage instead of comfort, truth instead of approval. These small moments compound into something unshakable, and one day, you'll look back and realize you didn't wake up confident. You became confident one choice at a time. Confidence isn't a destination. It's a process of remembering who you are before the world told you to doubt it. We are all born with it. Watch a child before the world teaches them to compare. They laugh loudly, speak freely, move without hesitation. They don't ask, "Am I good enough?" They simply are. Then slowly, life happens. Voices, opinions, failures, they pile up like dust on a mirror, covering who you really are underneath. Becoming confident again isn't about creating a new you. It's about returning to the truth of who you've always been. You are not broken. You're simply buried under layers of doubt. Confidence is the process of excavation, uncovering the self you lost along the way. But here's something most people misunderstand. Confidence is not constant. It fluctuates. Even the strongest, boldest people have moments of hesitation. The difference is, they don't wait for the feeling to return. They act their way back into confidence. Action creates emotion. Movement creates momentum. When you're afraid to speak, speak anyway. When you're unsure, take the next small step. When your mind says you can't, prove it wrong. Each time you move through doubt, confidence grows. And one day, fear becomes nothing more than a signal, not to stop, but to start. Confidence doesn't come from external validation. It comes from internal repetition. When you've faced challenge after challenge and survived, your brain starts to believe you. It remembers. It says, "We've been here before. We can do this again." That's the kind of belief no compliment, no applause, and no title can give you. Because real confidence doesn't crumble when the world goes silent. It's the voice inside that still says, "I've got this," when no one's watching. There will be moments when your confidence feels miles away, when self-doubt screams louder than your belief. In those moments, remind yourself, confidence is a muscle, and like any muscle, it grows through resistance. You don't get stronger by avoiding the weight. You get stronger by lifting it. So when life hands you fear, lift it. When uncertainty appears, face it. That's how confidence is born, not in comfort, but in courage. Let me tell you something powerful. You don't need to have it all figured out to begin. You don't need to feel ready to be ready. You just need to take the first step, because action builds clarity, and clarity builds confidence. You'll never think your way into believing in yourself. You'll only act your way there, and every small act of courage is a brick in the foundation of who you're becoming. Right now, in this moment, you are standing at the same crossroads every confident person once faced. One path leads to waiting, waiting for permission, waiting for certainty, waiting for someone to save you from your own hesitation. The other path leads to growth, the one where you act before you feel prepared, speak before your voice feels steady, and trust that you'll learn as you go. The first path leads to safety, the second leads to power, and power is where confidence lives. This is where your journey begins, not with perfection, but with a single decision, to stop waiting for the world to believe in you, and start believing in yourself enough to begin. Because the moment you choose courage over comfort, you are no longer who you were yesterday. You've stepped into the first stage of transformation. You've lit the match. The fire has begun. Transition to Chapter 2, the illusion of fear. You've just discovered where confidence begins. Now it's time to face the greatest force that tries to destroy it. In the next chapter, we'll uncover the truth about fear, why it follows you, how it manipulates you, and how the dangerously confident learn not to escape it, but to use it. Chapter 2, the illusion of fear. Fear, it's the oldest emotion known to humanity, and the most misunderstood. You can feel it before you see it. A tightening in the chest, a flicker of hesitation, a whisper that says, "What if this goes wrong?" Fear disguises itself well. Sometimes it sounds like logic. Sometimes it sounds like self-protection. But more often than not, fear isn't here to save you. It's here to stop you. The most dangerous thing about fear isn't how it feels. It's how believable it sounds. Imagine standing on the edge of a cliff, overlooking an endless sea. The wind is howling. The ground feels unstable beneath your feet. You know that if you leap, you could soar, but your mind paints pictures of falling. That's what fear does. It creates movies in your head, vivid, realistic, convincing, until you forget that most of them never actually happen. Fear is an artist. It sketches disasters that don't exist. It directs imaginary scenes where you fail, embarrass yourself, or lose everything, and yet none of it is real. The dangerously confident understand this truth. Fear is a story, not a sentence. Let's look deeper. Fear once served a purpose. It kept our ancestors alive. It warned them of predators, storms, and danger in the dark. But today, fear rarely protects us from lions. It protects us from living. It stops us from speaking when we should. It silences our dreams before they can breathe. It convinces us to stay small, safe, and invisible. And because we mistake comfort for safety, we surrender our power without even realizing it. The moment you stop chasing what's uncomfortable, you stop growing. And the moment you stop growing, fear wins. But here's the secret the confident live by. Fear isn't your enemy, it's your compass. Every time you feel fear pulling at your chest, it's pointing towards something that matters. Fear appears wherever your potential lives. That's why the dream feels scary, because it matters to your soul. Think about it. You never feel fear about things that don't matter. You don't lose sleep over what you don't care about. Fear shows up as a signal. This is important. This is growth. The dangerously confident listen to that signal. They don't run from fear. They run toward it, because they understand what's waiting on the other side. There's a truth most people never learn. Fear and excitement are the same energy, just moving in different directions. The same heartbeat that races when you're terrified is the same heartbeat that races when you're thrilled. The only difference is what you name it. When you label fear as danger, it becomes a wall. When you label it as opportunity, it becomes a doorway. Fear loses its grip when you stop fighting it and start listening to it. Let me tell you something personal. There was a time when I believed fear meant stop. When I felt nervous before speaking, I thought it meant I wasn't ready. When I hesitated before taking a chance, I assumed it meant I'd fail. But every time I pushed through, I realized something powerful. Fear wasn't blocking me. It was building me. Each time I leaned into that shaking, that uncertainty, I discovered new strength on the other side. Fear became my teacher. It stopped being a signal to retreat and started becoming a signal to rise. And that shift changed everything. You see, fear isn't there to punish you. It's there to prepare you. It's life's way of asking, are you willing to grow? Because what if fear isn't warning you of danger, but inviting you into expansion? What if every time you felt afraid, it was proof that you were exactly where you needed to be? That's the truth the dangerously confident live by. They don't wait for fear to disappear. They know fear never goes away. It simply evolves. And so they learn to carry it, to walk beside it, to move forward anyway. Think about the people who inspire you most, the innovators, the leaders, the artists, the dreamers. Do you think they live without fear? Of course not. They've just learned to use it differently. They stand on stages with trembling hands. They take risks that make their hearts race. They make decisions that scare them, and then they make them again tomorrow. They've built a new relationship with fear. They no longer see it as a wall, but as a workout. Every challenge stretches their courage. Every risk strengthens their resilience. And over time, that practice turns into power. But here's the danger of not understanding fear. When you let it lead, your life shrinks. You start saying no to experiences that might have changed you. You trade growth for predictability. And slowly, the world around you becomes smaller and smaller until your potential suffocates inside the boundaries of your own comfort. The longer you obey fear, the quieter your confidence becomes, until one day, you stop hearing it altogether. The confident know how to stop that silence. They answer fear with action, because fear cannot survive movement. It feeds on hesitation. It dissolves in decision. The moment you act, even in small ways, fear begins to fade. Let's reframe something right now. When you feel fear, instead of saying I'm scared, try saying I'm expanding, because that's what's really happening. Fear is not the enemy of progress, it's the evidence of it. If you never feel afraid, it's not because you're brave, it's because you're standing still. Growth always carries a pulse of fear inside it. It's the heartbeat of becoming. So don't curse your fear. Thank it. It's proof that you're moving towards something meaningful. Here's what I want you to remember. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's the mastery of it. Fear is a mirror showing you exactly where your next level lies. When you avoid it, you stay the same. When you face it, you evolve. The people who create extraordinary lives don't have less fear. They simply refuse to let it steal. They drive with fear in the passenger seat, not behind the wheel. That's dangerous confidence, not reckless, not blind, but the kind that acknowledges fear's presence and moves forward with it. So the next time your heart races, your hands tremble, or your mind tells you to wait, remember this: fear doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're alive. It means something inside you is waking up, stretching, ready to grow. And in that moment, you have two choices: to retreat into comfort or to rise into courage. Every time you choose courage, you strengthen the foundation of dangerous confidence. Transition to Chapter 3, the power of self-trust. You've now seen fear for what it truly is: an illusion, a messenger, a mirror. But understanding fear is only the beginning. Confidence doesn't just come from facing the world. It comes from trusting yourself to face it. In the next chapter, we'll explore the heart of dangerous confidence, the unshakable power of self-trust, and how keeping your word to yourself can make you unstoppable. Chapter 3, the power of self-belief. There comes a moment in every person's life when the world tries to convince them that they're not enough, that their dreams are too big, their voice too small, and their chances too slim. It happens quietly, at first, through a rejection, a criticism, a moment of failure. But slowly, those doubts begin to whisper louder, until you start believing them yourself. And that's when most people stop. Not because they ran out of potential, but because they stopped believing they had any. Self-belief is the invisible force that separates those who try from those who triumph. It's not arrogance. It's not pretending to be perfect. It's the quiet, unwavering conviction that you are capable of figuring it out, even when you have no idea how. Think of a mountain climber standing at the base of a towering peak. The summit seems impossible. The air is thin, the path uncertain, and fear whispers, "You can't make it." But what drives that climber forward isn't the promise of ease, it's belief. Belief that every step, no matter how small, brings them closer. That's what self-belief truly is. The courage to begin before you have proof. Because the truth is, no one ever feels ready. No one ever starts with complete certainty. Confidence doesn't come before action, it's built through it. Every time you choose to move despite doubt, you're laying another brick in the foundation of your self-belief. And that's how dangerous confidence begins to form, from evidence you create for yourself. You see, belief isn't a gift you're given, it's a skill you build. It's the muscle that grows every time you decide to trust your own voice over the noise of others. When you silence the inner critic that says you're not enough and replace it with "I'll figure it out," you shift from fear to power. But here's the trap most people fall into. They wait for permission. They wait for someone to validate them, to say, "Yes, you're ready. Yes, you're good enough." And in that waiting, their power fades. Confidence doesn't come from being chosen. It comes from choosing yourself. You may not realize it yet, but you've already survived everything that was meant to break you. You've already proven your resilience, your ability to adapt, to rise, to endure. The only thing missing is your recognition of it. So pause for a moment. Think back to every challenge you faced, every moment you thought you couldn't go on but did. Those weren't accidents, those were your training grounds. Every scar, every setback, every silent victory has been preparing you for the version of yourself that believes deeply and unapologetically. That's why self-belief is dangerous. Because once you start believing in yourself, you become unstoppable. People can doubt you, circumstances can test you, but when you know who you are, nothing external can destroy what's internal. Dangerous confidence isn't loud. It doesn't need to shout, to boast, or to prove. It's quiet, grounded, calm. It's the kind of strength that makes people wonder, where did that come from? It comes from within, from the moments you picked yourself up when no one else was watching, from the promises you kept to yourself when quitting would have been easier, from the decision to show up again and again until belief became your second nature. If you've ever felt lost or unsure of your worth, remember this: you were born with it. You were born capable. The world might have made you forget, but it can't take it away. Self-belief isn't something you find, it's something you remember. And every time you remind yourself that you've got this, even if your voice shakes, you're reawakening that power, that inner certainty that doesn't depend on external approval. That's what makes belief so powerful. It's the one thing no one can give you, and no one can take away. You can study all the strategies, read all the books, follow all the mentors, but until you believe in yourself, nothing changes. And once you do, everything does. Because self-belief turns rejection into redirection. It turns obstacles into opportunities. It turns I can't into I'll learn. And that mindset, that unshakable trust in your own capability, is the essence of dangerous confidence. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to start with this one truth: you are capable of more than you've ever imagined. And the moment you accept that, life begins to expand in ways you never thought possible. So from this point forward, stop asking, "Can I do it?" and start declaring, "I will find a way." Because belief is a seed. Once planted, it grows through storms, shadows, and seasons. All it needs is your willingness to keep watering it with action. The most dangerous version of you isn't the one who has everything, it's the one who believes, even when everything seems uncertain. And that's where your journey truly begins. Because belief isn't the end of confidence, it's the beginning of it. And in the next chapter, we'll go even deeper into the art of mastering fear. Because belief alone gives you the courage to begin, but learning how to face fear gives you the strength to keep going. Chapter 4: Mastering Fear. The silent enemy of confidence. There's a moment, one that every human being faces, where fear steps between you and the life you want. It doesn't shout, it whispers. It creeps in through hesitation, through self-doubt, through the thought that says, "Maybe I'm not ready yet." Fear doesn't always appear as panic or terror. Sometimes it wears the mask of logic, convincing you that waiting is smart, that caution is wisdom, that inaction is safety. But make no mistake, fear's true purpose is to protect your comfort, not your potential. Imagine standing at the edge of a cliff, wind brushing your face, a vast landscape stretching out before you. You know that just one leap, one decision, could lead you to everything you've dreamed of, but fear freezes you in place. Your heart races, your mind floods with what-ifs. What if I fall? What if I fail? What if I'm not good enough? Yet here's the secret: fear only has power when you obey it. The moment you stop listening, it loses control. Every person you admire, every confident, unshakable human you've ever seen, felt fear too. The difference is, they didn't let it decide for them. They learned to move with it, not away from it. That's the art of mastering fear. It's not about eliminating fear. It's about transforming your relationship with it, understanding that fear is not your enemy. It's your signal. It points to exactly where growth lives. If you fear speaking in public, it's not because you're weak, it's because your potential is trying to expand through communication. If you fear failure, it's not because you're destined to lose. It's because your soul knows success is within reach, and that scares your comfort zone. Fear is proof that you're standing at the doorway of transformation. But to master fear, you must face a hard truth. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's the decision to act in spite of it. Think of the first time you did something that scared you. Maybe you stood up for yourself, walked away from a toxic situation, or took a risk on something uncertain. In that moment, fear was loud, but you moved anyway. And that decision, that one act of defiance, expanded your confidence more than 1,000 quiet moments ever could. Because courage is not built in calm waters, it's forged in the storm. When your heart pounds, when doubt screams, when every part of you wants to retreat, that's when confidence is born. So here's the paradox. The more you avoid fear, the more it controls you. But the more you face it, the smaller it becomes. Confidence isn't about never feeling afraid. It's about knowing fear can't stop you. And once you understand that, fear becomes your compass. It shows you where to go next. The most confident people don't seek comfort. They see clarity. And clarity often comes wrapped in discomfort. They know that fear is simply energy, the same energy that fuels action, creativity, and breakthrough. When you stop running from fear, something incredible happens. The same adrenaline that once made your palms sweat now sharpens your focus. The same uncertainty that once made you doubt becomes your playground of discovery. You stop being ruled by emotion and start being guided by purpose. Let's be real, fear never fully goes away. You'll feel it before every major leap, every unfamiliar challenge, every defining decision. But instead of asking, how do I make this feeling disappear? Ask, what is this fear trying to teach me? Maybe it's teaching you that you've outgrown your old self. Maybe it's showing you the gap between who you are and who you're becoming. Fear, when understood, becomes the most honest teacher you'll ever have. You can't master life if you refuse to face fear. Because everything worth having, every form of greatness exists on the other side of it. The first step toward mastering fear is awareness. Name it. Don't suppress it. Don't hide from it. Say, yes, I feel afraid, and that's okay. The second step is movement. Do something, no matter how small. Take the first action. Speak the first word. Make the first move. Fear fades in motion. It thrives only in stillness. And the third step, repetition. Expose yourself to what scares you until it loses its power. You'll begin to realize fear isn't a wall, it's a fog. When you walk through it, you see there was nothing solid there, only illusion. The more you do what you fear, the less control it has. The more you lean into discomfort, the faster your confidence grows. So if you want to become dangerously confident, you must rewire your relationship with fear. Stop treating it as a signal to stop, and start treating it as a signal to start. Fear says, this is dangerous. Confidence replies, this is growth. Fear says, you might fail. Confidence whispers, and if I do, I'll learn. That's how powerful people think. That's how leaders rise. That's how you become unstoppable, not by eliminating fear, but by embracing it as fuel. Because the truth is, you cannot be fearless and human at the same time. But you can be brave, and bravery is far more powerful than fearlessness. So the next time fear visits you before a big decision, a risk, a change, remember, this feeling means you're alive. It means you're growing. And if you can learn to walk with fear, instead of running from it, you'll discover that every time you face it, confidence expands like a muscle, stronger, steadier, unshakable. Fear will always be there knocking at your door. But dangerous confidence means you've learned to open that door, smile, and say, I was expecting you. And as you continue your journey, remember this truth. Fear tests you before it transforms you. But once you master it, you'll step into a kind of power that most people only dream of. In the next chapter, we'll explore the inner core of that power, how to build unstoppable momentum, even when motivation fades. Because confidence begins when you face fear, but it multiplies when you learn to keep moving, no matter what. Chapter 5: Building Unstoppable Momentum. The discipline behind confidence. Momentum, it's one of the most powerful forces in the universe. It's what keeps planets orbiting stars, rivers carving valleys, and human beings pushing forward against all odds. And when it comes to confidence, momentum is everything. You see, confidence isn't something you find, it's something you build. It's not a lightning strike that suddenly transforms you, it's a fire that you feed, day after day, with small, deliberate actions. Most people wait for confidence before they move. But here's the truth: movement creates confidence. Every step, every action, every follow-through builds the internal proof that you can trust yourself. Imagine this: a massive train at a standstill. It takes tremendous energy to move that first inch. But once it starts rolling, once the wheels are turning and the rhythm begins, almost nothing can stop it. That's what momentum feels like. That's what dangerous confidence is. Self-trust in motion. In the beginning it's hard. You'll feel resistance, not from the world, but from yourself. The voice that says, "Do it tomorrow," the distraction that promises instant pleasure, the excuse that sounds almost reasonable. But confidence isn't built in comfort, it's built in commitment. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, even the smallest one, you add another brick to your foundation. When you say, "I'll wake up early," and you actually do, your mind learns to trust your word. When you say, "I'll start today," and you take the first step, your spirit begins to believe in your own strength. That's the real secret to unstoppable momentum. Self-respect through consistency. Momentum doesn't care about perfection. It rewards direction. It rewards persistence. Because the truth is, a small step forward beats standing still every single time. The most confident people you'll ever meet aren't the ones who never fall. They're the ones who refuse to stop. They've mastered the art of showing up, even when it's inconvenient, even when it's boring, even when it feels like nothing's working. Because they understand this, discipline builds the momentum that emotion cannot. Emotion comes and goes like weather, but discipline, that's the sun that always rises. It doesn't depend on how you feel, it depends on what you've decided. When you make discipline your ally, momentum becomes automatic. You start to wake up with purpose, you stop negotiating with your limitation, and confidence becomes less of a mindset and more of a rhythm. A heartbeat of action that says, "I don't wait for the right mood, I create it." Think about it. How many times in your life have you waited until you felt ready? And how many of those moments actually came? Waiting for motivation is like waiting for the wind to push your ship in the right direction, while the anchor is still down. You have to lift the anchor first. You have to move first, and then once you move, life meets you halfway. Momentum multiplies when you act, not when you think, because every action creates evidence, and evidence creates belief. When you keep moving forward, even imperfectly, your brain begins to recognize a new identity. Someone who doesn't stop. That's how confidence compounds. One small win builds into another, and soon you're not pushing anymore, you're gliding. You've shifted from trying to force progress into becoming progress itself. But here's the danger of losing momentum. Once you stop, resistance grows stronger. The mind starts to question again. Doubt creeps in. Fear regains its voice. The train slows to a halt, and starting again feels heavier than ever. That's why the secret to unstoppable confidence is not speed, it's continuity. Keep moving, no matter how slowly, Even if it's one small action a day, never stop the flow, because the moment you stop, inertia takes over. But when you stay in motion, even gently, you remain alive, awake, and expanding. Discipline is not punishment, it's freedom. It frees you from the chaos of inconsistency, the pain of regret, the weight of unfulfilled potential. Discipline says, I don't have to feel ready, I just have to begin. You want dangerous confidence, then build habits that make progress inevitable. Design your days so that your success doesn't depend on motivation. Create systems, small repeatable actions that move you forward, even when you don't feel like it. For example, write for 10 minutes, even on days when your mind feels blank. Exercise for 15 minutes, even when you're tired. Practice your craft, even when no one's watching, because those small moments are where warriors are made. Discipline turns chaos into clarity. It turns fear into fuel. It teaches your subconscious that you are in control, not your emotions, not your environment, not your excuse. And here's the beauty of it. Once momentum builds, discipline no longer feels like effort. It becomes identity. You stop thinking, I have to do this, and start saying, this is who I am. That's when confidence becomes dangerous, not because it's loud, but because it's undeniable. It doesn't need validation. It doesn't need applause. It simply exists. Quiet, certain, unshakable. You wake up each day, not hoping to feel powerful, but knowing you are. Not waiting for the perfect opportunity, but creating it through consistency. You no longer chase results, you embody them. And remember this, momentum isn't about intensity, it's about longevity. Anyone can sprint for a day, few can walk with purpose for a lifetime. So as you move forward, ask yourself, what's one action you can take today, one promise you can keep that will move you closer to who you want to become? Then do it. Not because it's easy, but because that one act of discipline is the spark that keeps your fire alive. Because the truth is simple. Momentum is confidence in motion. And once you master it, life bends in your favor. Doors open. Opportunities find you. You begin to move through the world not as someone trying to become, but as someone who already is. In the next chapter, we'll go even deeper into the power of self-image. Because what you believe about yourself determines how high your confidence can rise. Momentum builds strength, but identity defines destiny. And that's where your transformation truly begins. Chapter 6. The Power of Emotional Control. There's a moment in every person's life when emotion takes the wheel, when anger speaks before thought, when fear drowns out reason, or when frustration builds like a storm until it explodes. And in that moment, power slips away. The situation controls you instead of you controlling it. Think back to a time when emotion took over. Maybe you said something you didn't mean. Maybe you made a decision that cost you, or maybe you walked away from something that could have changed your life because your emotions told you it was too risky, too painful, too uncertain. Now imagine the same moment, but this time you're calm. You see the situation clearly, detached from impulse. You speak with purpose, you act with wisdom, and instead of being pulled by emotion, you guide it. That's emotional control, and it's one of the greatest superpowers a human being can develop. When most people think of power, they imagine wealth, status, or physical strength. But true power doesn't shout, it whispers. It's the quiet composure in chaos. It's the inner stillness that makes others feel safe in your presence. Emotional control is not suppression, it's mastery. It's the art of choosing your response, even when everything around you tries to provoke one. Life will always test you. The world doesn't care how you feel. It responds to how you act. Every day, you're faced with moments that demand emotional intelligence. A harsh comment, a setback, a disappointment, an unexpected challenge. You can't stop these moments from happening, but you can decide who you'll be in the middle of them. Here's the truth most people miss. Emotions aren't enemies, they're messengers. Anger reveals what you care about. Fear points to where you need courage. Sadness shows what you value most. But if you let these emotions run wild, they stop being teachers and start becoming tyrants. The goal isn't to silence your emotions, it's to understand them, to listen, and then lead them. You are the captain, not the passenger. Emotional control begins with awareness. You can't manage what you refuse to notice. When you feel that rush of anger or anxiety, don't run from it. Observe it. Ask yourself, why do I feel this way? And what is this emotion trying to tell me? That simple pause, that single breath between reaction and response, is where all your power lives. The moment you pause, you shift from instinct to intention. You step out of the storm and into clarity. Think of emotional control as emotional strength training. Every time you resist the urge to react, you build mental muscle. Every time you stay calm under pressure, you strengthen your inner foundation. Over time, what once triggered you no longer holds the same power. You rise above situations that once pulled you down. Let's talk about leadership, because every great leader in business or in life has mastered emotional control. A leader who panics spreads panic. A leader who stays calm inspires confidence. When you learn to regulate your emotions, you naturally begin to influence others, not by force, but by presence. People follow the one who doesn't lose themselves when things go wrong. And yet, emotional control isn't coldness. It's not pretending not to care. It's caring deeply, but wisely. It's expressing emotion at the right time, in the right way, for the right reason. When you master your emotions, you don't hide your humanity, you elevate it. The difference between reaction and response is the difference between chaos and creation. Reaction is impulsive, it's survival mode. Response is intentional, it's creation mode. Reaction gives power to others. Response takes power back. You can't control what people say. You can't control how life unfolds. But you can control your inner weather. You can decide whether you bring a storm or a sunrise to every situation. Here's something to remember. Calmness is not weakness. It's strategy. The calm person sees clearly, while the emotional person sees only the blur of the moment. Calmness gives you space to think, to assess, to choose. When others lose control, you gain advantage. That's not arrogance, it's discipline. Most people waste years trying to control the outside world, other people's opinions, outcomes, and circumstances, but real transformation begins when you turn that focus inward and master yourself. The world outside you mirrors the world within you. The more peace you create inside, the more power you project outside. Imagine your mind as an ocean. The waves will always move, the emotions will rise and fall, but beneath the surface, there can be stillness. That stillness is your strength. The world may shake, but your inner foundation remains unbroken. In relationships, emotional control builds trust. In business, it earns respect. In life, it gives freedom. Because when you can control your emotions, no one else can control you. You stop being a slave to moods, impulses, or circumstances. You become consistent, reliable, unshakable. It's not an easy journey. You will fall. You will react. You will get pulled into the storm at times. But every time you catch yourself, every time you pause, you grow. Progress in emotional control isn't about perfection. It's about awareness. You don't fail when you feel emotion. You fail only when you let it rule you. There's a quiet confidence that comes when you master your emotions. You stop chasing peace because you realize you are peace. You stop seeking validation. because you realize your worth doesn't depend on how you feel. It depends on how you respond to how you feel. So the next time anger knocks on your door, don't fight it. Invite it in. Listen, learn, and let it go. When fear rises, thank it for reminding you to be brave. When sadness visits, let it teach you empathy. Emotions are visitors, don't build a home for them. Control isn't about rigidity. It's about flow. It's about directing your emotions, like a river, guiding them toward purpose, rather than letting them flood your life. And here's the beautiful irony. When you learn to control your emotions, you don't become less emotional. You become more human, because now, instead of being consumed by your emotions, you use them to create, to connect, to grow. True power is calm. True strength is steady. True leadership begins within. As we move forward, remember this truth. Mastering your emotions doesn't mean avoiding life's storms. It means learning to stand tall in the rain. In the next chapter, we'll explore how to transform this inner strength into outer success, how to use emotional control not just to survive, but to lead, to influence, and to build a life that others can feel safe and inspired around. Because when your emotions serve you, your life begins to serve your purpose. Chapter 7. The Law of Focus. What you feed grows. There's a quiet truth about life that few ever master. Whatever you focus on expands. Your mind is the most fertile ground on earth, and your attention is the seed. Every day you are planting something, fear or faith, doubt or determination, problems or possibilities. The question is not if you're growing something, the question is what. Picture this. Two people wake up to the same morning, the same weather, the same world. One says, it's going to be a miserable day. The other says, today is another chance to build something great. The world hasn't changed, only their focus has. And that single difference will lead them to two completely different realities. Focus is the invisible hand that shapes your destiny. It determines what you see, how you feel, and what you attract. Most people scatter their attention across hundreds of things, distractions, worries, other people's opinions, endless noise, and then wonder why life feels chaotic. But those who learn to focus, truly focus, become unstoppable. The secret isn't working harder, it's seeing clearer. Because when your mind is divided, your energy is diluted. But when your mind is aligned, your energy becomes a laser, cutting through resistance, carving a path toward purpose. Focus is not about ignoring life, it's about choosing your direction. It's deciding what matters most and giving it your full undivided attention. That's how greatness is built. Not through scattered effort, but through sustained clarity. Think about how sunlight can't burn until it's concentrated through a lens. Your mind works the same way. Scattered thoughts create scattered results. But when your focus sharpens, your life ignites. Most people live reactive. Their focus is controlled by the external notifications, news, noise. They live in response mode, constantly reacting to what the world throws at them. But focus is an act of rebellion. It's saying, I choose where my energy goes. It's declaring that your mind is not a playground for chaos, it's a workshop for creation. Here's something powerful to remember. What you focus on, you feel. If you focus on everything that's wrong, your mind will find evidence of pain. If you focus on what's right, your heart will find reasons for peace. Focus doesn't change reality, it changes how you experience it. And that shift changes everything. When you learn to direct your focus, you stop being a victim of circumstances. You start becoming the author of them. Life will always contain both the storm and the sun. The question is, where are you looking? Let's go deeper. Focus creates emotion. Emotion drives action. Action shapes results. It all begins with what you allow your mind to dwell on. Every time you give attention to negativity, you strengthen it. Every time you dwell on gratitude, you multiply it. Energy flows where attention goes, always. Have you ever noticed how a small worry can become an avalanche of anxiety the more you think about it? That's the law of focus at work, but it also works in reverse. A small thought of confidence, nurtured daily, can become a mountain of strength. Focus feeds whatever you give it to, so the first step to mastering focus is awareness. You can't change what you don't see. Begin by observing your mental habit. Where does your attention naturally go? What consumes your mind when you're not paying attention? Most people are not victims of circumstances, they're victims of misplaced focus. The next step is discipline. Focus isn't automatic, it's trained. You must teach your mind to return to what matters, over and over, until it becomes second nature. Like a muscle, focus strengthens through repetition. Each time you pull your attention back from distraction, you're building mental resilience. Focus also requires boundary. You can't focus if you're saying yes to everything. You can't hear your inner voice if you're drowning in outer noise. The mind needs space to think, to create, to breathe. Protect that space, like sacred ground. Guard your attention as if your future depends on it, because it does. Distraction is not just stealing your time, it's stealing your potential. Every minute lost to distraction is a minute taken from your dreams. The cost is invisible, but it's real. Imagine what could happen if you redirected even a fraction of your daily distractions towards something meaningful. Your growth, your craft, your peace. Focus is how ordinary people achieve extraordinary things. It's how ideas become inventions, how dreams become realities, how thoughts become empires. Behind every masterpiece, every innovation, every legacy, there was a person who chose to focus when others drifted. But focus isn't just about ambition, it's also about peace. A focused mind is a calm mind. When you know what matters, you stop chasing what doesn't. You stop comparing, competing, and consuming noise that doesn't serve your purpose. Clarity brings calmness. And clarity doesn't come from knowing everything. It comes from knowing what to ignore. Focus is not addition, it's subtraction. It's the courage to let go of the trivial, so you can devote yourself to the essential. Let's make it personal. Ask yourself, what deserves my focus right now? Not tomorrow, not someday. Today. What area of my life, if I gave it my full attention, would transform everything else? Maybe it's your health, your mindset, your craft, or your peace. Whatever it is, feed it, nurture it, water it daily. Because what you feed grows, what you starve dies, and the quality of your life depends on which one you choose to nourish. Here's the beauty of it: the more you focus on what matters, the more everything else aligns. Your thoughts, your habits, your energy, they all begin to move in the same direction. That's when momentum is born. Don't wait for clarity to appear before you focus. Focus first, and clarity will follow. Like a lens adjusting to light, your mind sharpens as you commit to what matters. And one day, you'll look back and realize that all the great changes in your life began the moment you decided to focus. Not on the noise, not on the problems, but on the path forward. So choose your focus wisely, because wherever your mind lives, your life follows. As we step into the next chapter, we'll explore how to turn that focus into consistent action, how to build momentum that doesn't fade with motivation, but grows through mastery. Because once your mind learns where to look, your future learns how to unfold. Chapter 8. The Power of Consistency. Small steps, unstoppable momentum. There's a quiet force in this world, stronger than talent, louder than motivation, and more powerful than luck. It's not glamorous, it doesn't shout for attention. It moves slowly, steadily, almost invisibly. But given time, it builds empires, shapes destinies, and transforms ordinary people into legends. That force is consistency. We often think success comes from breakthroughs, a single lucky moment, a sudden opportunity, a grand leap. But the truth is, breakthroughs are born from repetition, from showing up again and again, long after the excitement has faded. Think about a river carving its way through solid rock. It's not strength that creates the canyon, it's persistence. The gentle flow of water, patient and unwavering, slowly shapes what seems unshakable. That's the essence of consistency. It's not about speed or size, it's about showing up every single day, even when no one's watching. Consistency is the bridge between goals and growth, between who you are and who you want to become. And the moment you understand its power, life begins to shift, not through massive action once in a while, but through small, deliberate steps taken daily. Here's the truth most people never accept. Motivation is temporary, but discipline is eternal. Motivation is like a spark. It lights you up for a moment, but consistency is the fire that keeps you warm through the cold nights of doubt, failure, and frustration. You don't need to do everything perfectly. You just need to do it repeatedly. Think of a sculptor. The masterpiece doesn't appear with one strike of the hammer. It's hundreds, even thousands of gentle taps, each one shaping, refining, defining. Every small action counts, and over time, the invisible becomes visible. The reason so many people never see results is because they quit before consistency has a chance to work. They dig for gold, then stop a few inches before finding it. They start something, feel excited, then lose energy when progress isn't instant. But consistency doesn't reward the impatient, it rewards the committed. The key to lasting success is not intensity, it's longevity. Anyone can push hard for a week, few can show up quietly for a year, but those who do build momentum that can't be stopped. Let's get real for a moment. There will be days when you don't feel like it. Days when you're tired, uninspired, or doubting yourself. Those are the days that count the most. Because consistency is not about how you feel, it's about who you decide to be. Every time you choose discipline over doubt, you're strengthening a habit. You're telling your mind, I keep my word. And with each repetition, that identity grows stronger. Consistency transforms effort into excellence. It's what turns practice into mastery and routine into greatness. You don't become great overnight. You grow into it through 1,000 small, invisible victories. Let's be honest, consistency doesn't always feel rewarding in the moment. It can feel boring, repetitive, even pointless. But here's the paradox, the results are delayed, not denied. Every small effort compounds, quietly, in the background. And one day, when you least expect it, the results will flood in, and everyone else will call it sudden success. But you'll know the truth. You'll know it wasn't sudden. It was built, brick by brick, through persistence and patience. You see, consistency builds trust, not just with others, but with yourself. Every time you follow through on what you said you'd do, you strengthen your confidence. You prove to yourself that you can rely on you. That's real power. And consistency doesn't only apply to work or goals, it applies to your thoughts, your habits, your mindset. If you consistently feed your mind negativity, you'll see the world through a lens of limitation. But if you consistently feed you gratitude and purpose, your entire reality begins to shift. Everything you do daily becomes a vote for the person you're becoming. Each repetition is a quiet whisper to your future, saying, I'm coming for you. So how do you stay consistent when the excitement fades? Start small. Don't focus on doing everything. Focus on doing something. A single step, a single page, a single choice done daily builds unstoppable rhythm. Small steps done consistently create massive results. Because success is not built in a day, it's built daily. Be patient with your process. Trust the pace of your progress. The seed doesn't sprout the day it's planted, but it grows in silence, beneath the surface, where no one can see. Your effort works the same way. You might not see progress immediately, but that doesn't mean it isn't happening. Every day you show up, you're watering that seed. Every day you stay consistent, you're strengthening the root. And when the time is right, when you've earned it through effort and endurance, your results will bloom in plain sight. Consistency also requires grace. Don't punish yourself for missing a step. Perfection isn't the goal, progress is. If you stumble, get back up. What matters is not how many times you fall, but how many times you return. The power of consistency lies not in never failing, but in never quitting. Let's make it personal. What area of your life needs consistency right now? Maybe it's your health, your mindset, your craft, or your habits. Whatever it is, choose to start today. Don't wait for perfect timing or ideal conditions. They never come. Just begin and stay. Because the person who keeps showing up, even imperfectly, will always surpass the one who waits for the perfect moment. So ask yourself, what could your life look like 1 year from now if you stayed consistent with one simple thing? One small action, done daily, one commitment, honored relentlessly. The answer is everything could change. And it will, if you stay, if you persist, if you trust the compound power of your effort. In the end, consistency isn't just about success. It's about becoming the kind of person who follows through, the kind of person who finishes what they start, the kind of person who doesn't just dream, but become. Because when consistency becomes your lifestyle, success becomes your byproduct. In the next chapter, we'll dive deeper into that next phase, how to transform consistent effort into unstoppable momentum, how to keep moving forward even when progress slows, and how to make perseverance your greatest strength. Because consistency builds the path, but momentum carries you the distance. Chapter 9. The hidden power of consistency. Success rarely comes in explosions. It comes in whispers, quiet, steady, almost invisible at first. Like a seed breaking through the soil, the early stages of greatness are always small, fragile, and often unnoticed. But those who keep watering their vision day after day become the ones who eventually rise above the noise. There's something deeply powerful about showing up, not once, not occasionally, but every single day, because consistency, not intensity, is what separates the dreamers from the doers. Most people start strong, but fade too soon. They expect quick results, fast validation, instant proof that it's working. But real success doesn't unfold on demand, it unfolds on discipline. Think about the sun. It doesn't rush to rise. It simply does what it was created to do, every single morning, without fail. And because it keeps showing up, it lights up the world. That's what consistency does. It turns ordinary effort into extraordinary power. The truth is, small, repeated actions create massive transformations over time. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be persistent. You don't need to do everything in one day. You only need to do something every day. Because when your actions align with your vision long enough, results stop being optional. They become inevitable. But here's what makes consistency hard. It's boring. It's quiet. It lacks applause. There's no excitement in repetition, no instant reward in the routine. The mind craves novelty. It wants stimulation, not discipline. That's why people quit too early. They mistake lack of recognition for lack of progress. They forget that the universe rewards patience, not impatience. Imagine a sculptor working on a block of marble. Each strike of the hammer seems small, meaningless, even repetitive, but with enough strikes, the shape emerges. With enough patience, beauty is revealed. That's how life works. Every habit you build, every effort you repeat, every moment you resist giving up, you are sculpting your future, one small action at a time. Success is rarely about brilliance, it's about endurance. The greatest athletes, artists, and leaders weren't necessarily the most talented, they were the most consistent. They trained when no one was watching. They practiced when motivation faded. They kept going when the results were invisible. And eventually, the world called them gifted, when in truth, they were simply committed. You see, motivation starts you, consistency sustains you. Motivation is emotional, it fluctuates. Consistency is structural, it stabilizes. Motivation is loud and fleeting. Consistency is quiet, but lasting. When you understand this, your entire relationship with growth changes. You stop waiting to feel ready. You stop needing to be inspired. You simply act, because action itself becomes your inspiration. Here's a hard truth. You won't always feel like doing what's required. And that's okay. You're not supposed to. Discipline isn't about doing what you love. It's about loving what must be done. Every time you follow through despite resistance, you train your mind to obey your purpose instead of your emotions. That's the invisible victory, the one that no one sees, but that changes everything. Because the moment your consistency becomes stronger than your mood, success becomes a matter of time. Ask yourself this: what if instead of chasing instant results, you made consistency your identity? What if you became the kind of person who just shows up no matter what? Imagine if you exercised every day, even when tired. If you learned a new skill every morning, even for 10 minutes. If you worked on your dream daily, even in silence. How unstoppable would you become? When you build the habit of showing up, you stop negotiating with excuses. You no longer depend on external motivation. You operate from internal momentum. You stop saying someday and start saying today. Consistency is how you earn the right to see results. It's the quiet proof of your seriousness. Anyone can work hard once in a while, but few can work steadily without recognition. That's where greatness hides, in the unseen hours, in the quiet persistence, in the days when no one's watching but you. The real question is, can you keep going when no one claps? Can you continue when progress is invisible? Because those are the moments that decide everything. Not the easy days, but the ordinary ones when you choose discipline over comfort, purpose over pleasure, long-term growth over short-term satisfaction. Your habits shape your destiny. Every consistent act is a vote for the person you're becoming. Every time you honor your commitment, you strengthen your character. And over time, these small victories accumulate into something extraordinary. You might not see change every day, but trust me, change sees you. The universe is always watching how consistent you are. Every repeated action is a signal of faith, a declaration that says, I'm not just interested, I'm invested. There will be days you feel uninspired, days you feel unnoticed, days you wonder if it's even worth it. But those are the days that matter most, because consistency isn't tested when it's easy, it's proven when it's hard. And here's the beautiful thing: once you master consistency, success stops being a mystery. It becomes do the work, repeat the work, trusts the process, and the outcome eventually aligns. Consistency is your quiet superpower. It's not glamorous, but it's unstoppable. It builds confidence, amplifies skill, and compounds results. You may start small, but if you refuse to stop, even small efforts grow roots deep enough to move mountains. So keep showing up, keep building, keep repeating what works. Don't chase the high of motivation, build the strength of consistency. Because the world may not notice what you do daily, but one day it will be impossible to ignore what you've become. The power to change your life isn't hidden in one big leap. It's hidden in the courage to take the same small step again and again. And when you do, you'll look back one day and realize something profound. Success didn't happen suddenly. It was always happening. Quietly, patiently, consistently. every time you chose to keep going. Now that you understand the hidden power of consistency, it's time to explore something equally important, the inner force that fuels it, belief. Because without belief, consistency cannot survive, and belief, as you'll soon discover, is the spark that turns repetition into transformation. Chapter 10. Becoming dangerously confident, the final transformation. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine yourself standing at the edge of a cliff. The wind is strong, whipping around you, challenging you, daring you to step forward. Below, a vast expanse of possibility stretches out, shimmering with opportunity. Fear whispers in your ear. Doubt tugs at your shoulders. But deep inside, something else rises, a quiet, unshakable certainty. This is confidence, not the fleeting kind, but the dangerous, unstoppable kind that carries you through storms, over obstacles, and into the life you were born to live. Dangerous confidence isn't about arrogance. It's not about proving yourself to others. It's the calm, unwavering conviction that you are capable, prepared, and worthy. It's the kind of confidence that doesn't waver when challenges appear, that doesn't shrink in the face of criticism, and that refuses to settle for anything less than what you know you can achieve. The journey to dangerous confidence begins inside. It begins with belief. Belief in your abilities, in your vision, and in your right to take up space in this world. Without belief, confidence is hollow. With it, confidence becomes a force that moves mountains. Think back on everything we've explored in this audiobook: the courage to step beyond fear, the mastery of your mind, the relentless pursuit of consistency, the building of momentum through small, deliberate action. Each chapter, each lesson has been a brick, laying the foundation for the fortress of self-assurance you are now constructing. But building confidence isn't enough. To become dangerously confident, you must act. You must step forward, even when the path is unclear. You must speak when your voice shakes. You must risk failure, knowing it is a teacher, not an executioner. True confidence is forged in the fire of experience, tempered by challenges and polished by reflection. Here's a truth that separates the dangerously confident from the merely self-assured. They don't wait for permission. They don't wait for the world to tell them they're ready. They create readiness. They step into uncertainty with purpose. They trust themselves when no one else does. And in that act of stepping forward, they discover a strength they never imagined they had. Consider the moments in your life when you felt most alive, when your heart pounded, your breath quickened, and everything in the world felt electrified. Those moments weren't safe, were they? And yet you survived. More than that, you grew. Dangerous confidence is cultivated in those moments. It's the art of feeling fear and choosing action anyway. To carry this confidence, you must also embrace responsibility. It is not reckless bravado. It is not ego-driven. It is grounded in accountability. You are responsible for your actions, your choices, and your impact. The dangerously confident understand that power without responsibility is chaos, and courage without purpose is fleeting. Confidence, when fused with responsibility, becomes the quiet force that inspires others to rise, that shapes reality, that leaves a mark on the world. Another pillar of dangerous confidence is resilience. Life will test you. It always does. You will face setbacks, betrayals, failures, and moments when the world seems intent on pushing you down. But dangerous confidence doesn't crumble. It absorbs the impact, learns the lesson, and rises stronger. Each challenge becomes fuel, each scar a reminder of survival, each victory a foundation for the next conquest. Imagine yourself 6 months from now, a year from now. How will you act if you fully embrace this version of yourself? How will your relationships, your career, your life transform if you operate from a place of unwavering confidence? The answer is not somewhere in the future. It begins the moment you decide that fear no longer commands your action. And here's a secret the dangerously confident understand. Confidence is not about being fearless. It is about feeling fear and moving forward regardless. Fear is inevitable. Courage is a choice, and choosing courage consistently is what makes you dangerous, not to others, but to the limits that have held you back. This confidence also demands honesty. Honesty with yourself about your strengths, your weaknesses, and the reality of your situation. There is no room for pretense. The dangerously confident assess, adapt, and advance. They do not inflate their abilities, nor do they diminish them. They see clearly, act decisively, and move relentlessly. Now take a deep breath and imagine stepping off that cliff I spoke of earlier, not recklessly, but with preparation, with trust in your own wings. You are ready. You have built the skills, the habits, the mindset, and the resilience. You are no longer tentative. You are no longer waiting. You are moving, fully alive, fully capable, and unshakably confident. And as you soar into the life you've been shaping, remember this: dangerous confidence is a lifestyle, not a moment. It's cultivated daily in the choices you make, the actions you take, and the integrity with which you live. It is the sum of all the small victories, the quiet persistence, the courage to act when it's uncomfortable, and the unwavering belief that you are capable of more than you have ever imagined. So step forward, speak your truth, take the risks that matter, embrace the unknown with certainty in your abilities, because you are no longer waiting for someone else to approve your greatness. You have claimed it for yourself, and as you move through life from this moment forward, let this be your guiding principle. Confidence is not the absence of doubt, it is the mastery of it. When doubt arises, you act anyway. When fear strikes, you move anyway. When obstacles appear, you persist anyway. That is the essence of dangerous confidence. Carry it with you, protect it, refine it, and let it guide every decision, every interaction, every dream. You are capable, you are powerful, you are ready, and the world will respond to the person you have become, the dangerously confident, unstoppable, fully alive version of yourself. This is your moment. This is your life. Step into it, with courage, with purpose, and with the kind of confidence that changes everything. End of chapter 10. End of audiobook.